Hello guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to another film review. Tonight we got a bit, well today or tonight we got a bit of a controversial film in my opinion. And it's a monster flick and it's called Arachnophobia. This is I think it was a Steven Spielberg film, I'm sure it is. And this is about spiders, obviously. And you know my love for spiders. First of all, we'll get into a bit of the synopsis of the film. The film sort of starts off in a very sort of grand Jurassic Park style, where we've got these sort of scientists out in the sort of rainforests of South America looking for all different species of insect. And they've just hired a new sort of photographer who's just gone out there to sort of like help them out. Anyway, we meet the team along the river and we meet the scientists at their camp, and they're all saying we're going to take a helicopter into the deep of the rainforest to find these rare species. And then they go out to the helicopter where they're all joining it, and they're joined by a local sort of cannibal from one of the cannibal tribes. And so that they make their way in a very Jurassic Park way over towards the rainforest. And then they go by this very grand sort of waterfall area. And it looks it's very beautifully shot, really amazing shot. Well, it would be with a massive sort of a Steven Spielberg budget behind it. Anyway, they finally arrive, and where they want to go is right down in some sort of like sort of concave part of the rainforest, where it's like all rocked and waterfalls all falls down to the bottom quite deep down. So they walk their way down, and that's why the cannibal's with them. He's like their guide. He walks them down while their equipment gets lowered down by a rope. Eventually they get down there, and our photographer straight away tumbles into a massive spider web. Um, Absolutely huge. So you know it almost looks very much like a sort of an orb weaver's kind of web, but it's absolutely ginormous. And so they carry on, and he takes photos of this web, and then they plant all these kind of metal cylinders, almost like into the ground to like catch cups almost. And then they put up some poisonous smoke up into the trees, and this is just to get all these sort of like insects to fall down so they can identify them. I didn't like that bit, to be honest. I think I understand why they do it, but it just wasn't. I didn't find it very nice. But then you see all these sort of butterflies and different insects falling out of the trees and landing into these catch cups, and they're sort of identifying that there's some new species of butterfly there, but they've already killed that off, haven't they? And then they hear a big bang in one of the other sort of containers, and they all turn around and they see it's this kind of almost tarantula-like spider. It does look quite similar to like an avicularia, like a pink-toed sort of tarantula. And they think they've discovered a new species, and then they find another one, and then one of them, the photographer's taking a picture of one because he thinks it's dead. It jumps at his camera, and that's another reason why I thought it's an avicularia, because they do jump. So he jumps onto his camera, so he sort of like knocks it to the floor and then kills it, stamps on it. We don't see it being killed, but you know what he's done. And the scientist tells him off, saying that could be a brand new species and been living in the forest a million years, and you've just stamped on it. But anyway, and then we see in the undergrowth these eyes and these fangs sort of like looking through the undergrowth, and it starts to crawl down towards the camp bit where they all are. So they find these animals and they take them back to their base, and this other giant spider that we saw sort of creeping in the undergrowth jumps onto the like a carrying sort of stretcher which they're carrying all their equipment on, and jumps into it and sneaks into a bag. Now I don't know if this is supposed to be a sort of a Goliath spider, but they've tried to, by the size of it, but to me it looks more like a sort of Lazadora parabama sort of spider, a salmon pink toe, um, rather salmon pink rather than a Goliath spider. It's got the build of a Lazadora, and it crawls into like a bag. And then they head back and they start examining all the insects and stuff like this. And the photographer goes, "Oh, I don't feel very well," and decides to go, "No, you don't look good. You look feverish. Go and have a lay down." So he goes to his tent and lays down, and we see the shadow of the spider crawling past his tent, and then crawls into his bed and crawls up him, and then he sort of like puts his hand down because he can feel something moving, and it bites him, and then he dies the most dramatic death in the world within seconds, which just really wouldn't happen for a number of reasons, which we'll go into in a minute. And then he dies, and so they go. Then they find him dead, the scientists, and they put him into his wooden crate sort of coffin, and our spider sort of sneaks into the crate. And then that goes off to America, to our lovely peaceful little village, as we see it approaching the village in a car. A very pretty, peaceful little sort of village in America. And the coffin gets into the sort of funeral directors, and they open it, and they find out that the body's all been sort of drained of fluid and stuff like that. So you hear him talking on the phone, "Oh, we said an open casket. We don't think we should do that. We don't think the ways they treat the body in South America is as good as ours." And so then we sort of see down into the coffin, and we see our spider making his trip out of the coffin, and we see the body all drained of like blood. So obviously they're trying to emphasise that the spider's been feeding on this body. And the spider then sort of sneaks away. The dog and the cat that lives in the funeral parlour run away, and he goes through the cat flap. And when he comes through the cat flap, it gets picked up by a crow, which then sort of like flies away with this spider. And then the spider supposedly bites the crow, and they fall to the ground. And they just so happen to fall in the ground where our new doctor is arriving with his family, just moving in, played by Jeff Daniels. And they're just moving in. And it's got a beautiful house with a barn. And our spider's made home in the barn. And our family are just moving in. And then the little boy finds the dead bird, and the dad goes, "Well, just leave it alone, come away from it." And then we hear him shouting in the house, "Dad, there's a spider in the house." And then we see, like in one of the boxes, a tiny little wolf spider sort of crawling around. So the mother picks it up gently in the tissue and puts it in the barn where our giant spider is. And that's all I'm going to tell you. So what's going to happen? Are these spiders going to are they going to but would be impossible. So many mistakes in this film, as you can imagine. Or what's going to happen? Are the local town going to come to problems with this giant spider now it's there? Is this spider going to affect other spiders in the area? You need to watch it and find out. What do I think of Arachnophobia? I think it's a fun film. I don't take it too seriously. I think there is a danger of doing that, especially if you're like me and you're a spider lover. There's lots of things that are pros and cons for the film. Now, the pros of the film is that it's fun and you see some beautiful spiders in there. The cons, and that's all the pros. The cons are they give spiders quite a bit of a bad rep, because spiders can't kill you, for one. There's no spider that can kill you. There are some that some true spiders in like Australia and something like the Brazilian wandering spider that have really potent venom that can give you a really bad day. but reports of death from them are very, very slim, very, very poor. And now, if there has been any, it's because someone's had a reaction to their venom. So always remember that as well. Spiders are not poisonous. No spider in the planet is poisonous, but they are venomous. They are different. Obviously, poison is something that you digest. It's something that you take in, you eat or drink, or gets into your body. Venom is something that envenomates you, it injects you, like a wasp or like a bee. That's a venom that gets sort of like injected into you. Poison is something that you digest. Like if you get one of those poisonous dart frogs and lick it, then you know you're going to have another bad day, which you shouldn't do anyway. But yeah, that's the difference between poison and venom. There's a lot of missed things going on in the film. Like they got this little wolf spider talking to this massive sort of tarantula, and they would not copulate. Spiders are cannibalistic. That would have been a little snack for our spider. So that wouldn't have happened. They do not crossbreed. You can crossbreed spiders. It's not the thing that in the hobby is it's frowned upon big time. People crossbreeding spiders, which it shouldn't be done. It should be thoroughly bred between each same species. You know, it's these are not dogs. You know, these are different genetic genes to dogs, so it's something they should never be messing around with. Anyway, there's so many little things that are wrong. Like, if this is supposed to be like this big Goliath sort of spider, it wouldn't be living in a tree because it's they are terrestrial. The ones that fall out of the tree do look like avicularias, which are terrestrial, that will live up in the trees and stuff like that. They do look like them. Look completely different to the one that gets into the crate. And yes, it can give spiders a little bit of a bad rap, thinking, oh my God, these are killers. And then that's going to make people want to stamp on them or kill them straight away. But don't, okay? Because they're a very vital part of our existence, just like the honeybee. You know, we need spiders in this world. Spiders eat a lot of insects that are dangerous to us. Spiders are not dangerous to us. A spider will run away. It's a very reclusive, shy animal. If it sees you, it will run and hide. A spider does not like to be putting itself in trouble. Now, if anyone's ever been bitten by a spider, that spider's defending itself because it's been in a position where it feels threatened. You know, if it's one in your shoe and you put your shoe on, then yeah, it's cornered, and so it's going to bite. It's not because it's trying to attack you; it's defending itself. So it can give spiders a bit of a bad rep, but believe me, spiders are amazing, and they are incredible, beautiful, wonderful animals, and they make great pets as well because they're not noisy. You don't have to walk them. You only feed them once or twice a week. You know, just make sure they've got clean water, and they'll do their own little thing. And some are absolutely fascinating. So they make great pets, and you know they will not attack you. They're not a pet to handle or pick up because they're an observation pet, like a fish. You wouldn't pick a fish up. So it's the same sort of thing with a spider. So this does give spiders a little bit of a bad rep, thinking, oh, they're these killers, and they're not. They're not killers. Yes, there might have been cases of some people might have died from a funnel web spider bite, but they probably got real bad health conditions like a heart condition or something like that, and the venom's reacted to their system. But that's going to be so rare. You know, more people die from hippopotamuses and snake bites and stuff like that than they would from a spider. You will not die from a spider bite. But this automatically says you'll die within seconds. So that's the big negative. So I'm going to score the film a fun watch and give it a 7 out of 10. I can't give it higher just because I just don't like the way it portrays spiders. Sorry, Winnie. I just don't like the way it sort of portrays the spider. But I did enjoy the film. I think it's great fun, and it's great to see the spiders get a little bit of limelight. Where the other spider film, Eight-Legged Freaks, I enjoyed more because they're all exaggerated. They're like monsters, and so that's cool. But these are like trying to make look like normal spiders that are dangerous, and that's the bit I don't like. Whereas things like Eight-Legged Freaks or the 1950s monster film Tarantula, you can see it's this exaggerated to be like a monster, so that's completely different. But there we go. I believe there is a remake being made of this, so we'll have to wait and see for that, see if that's any good. Arachnophobia, 7 out of 10. Any of you guys seen it? If you have, let me know down below what you think of it. I mean, yes, it is a good fun film, and it came out in the height of like where we were getting all these sort of monster films, like from alligators through to all kinds of sort of like snakes and anacondas and all these wonderful sort of monster flicks. And in amongst them was this one about our poor little spiders. Anyway, guys, till the next video, look after yourselves, look after one another, and I really hope I'll see you all soon.